Hello and welcome to another daily devotion. If legends and traditions are true, the third woman of faith I'd like to introduce you to in our female voices of faith is a true rags to riches story. According to church tradition, she was a princess, the daughter of Pharaoh himself. And when Pharaoh took into his harem a woman he thought was Abram's sister, no problem with, you know, getting to know you from a man's sister. But when he finds out through divine revelation that she's his wife, he says, "Whoa, why'd you lie to me?" Very interesting story, actually told three different ways in the book of Genesis. But that's neither here nor there. I want to introduce you once again, maybe in a new way, to Hagar, the Egyptian. Anyway, Hagar supposedly was a daughter of Pharaoh and given as a gift to Abraham and Sarah if they would just leave town and go away. And so here's this girl who grows up in the palace, waited on by servants, to going from that to people listening and doing whatever she asks to a point. She's not a prince. To going to listening to whatever Sarah and Abram tell her to do, being a complete slave, an unknown, an unseen, don't talk unless spoken to, and just do what we tell you to do. As we read this Genesis story, it's hard not to feel for Hagar. She's abused by Sarah. Sarah's jealous of her. Eventually, Sarah loses her confidence in the promises of God, tells Abram just to go ahead and have sex with Hagar. And can you imagine this? All right, so we say from I think most of us tend to, or many of us tend to take it from Abraham's point of view. He's like, late 80s, and here's this young Hagar who's, his wife said, all right, you go have, sexual relations with her so she can have a kid through her. Okay, all right, I guess I can manage that. But think about Hagar. Here's your boss, your slave owner, and we hear the story in the American South again and again, deciding, yeah, she's my property, so I'm gonna. Talk about having not only your dignity, your identity, but then also your body, all that stripped away. So she runs away. And here's where the story gets powerfully beautiful. There, you see windows into the resiliency and resolve of Hagar. Though she runs, she meets God and she prays to God. And she's one of the first people to call God and to give, she is the first person to give God a name, if I'm not mistaken. You are the God who sees me in a life that has become hell for me, that I have not been seen. And we meet Hagar out in the wilderness, trying to figure out, where do I go from here? Do I go back to Egypt? I have no money, no means. I don't want to go back to Sarah and Abraham, but the angel says, go back. God's promises, God hasn't abandoned you in this, though you feel abandoned and lost. And I think, my gosh, for any woman or man for that matter, whose life has not been what they dreamed it would be. They had a very clear path or vision for what it would be, and then all of a sudden it's not nearly what they thought. And for this angelic messenger to say, no, hang in there, because God does see you. And there's yet more light to break forth in your life. And we see that Hagar is blessed. Her people do become a great nation. She becomes the mother of a great nation. And God is with her despite being in this terrible valley of enslavement. It's pretty incredible. And she is maybe one of the bravest characters of Scripture that I know. So when you're feeling discouraged or beaten by life, think of Hagar and the amazing resolve and resiliency of one who hears and looks and listens for the voice of God, and who realizes and in joy says, "You are the one who sees me when no one else does."